Okay, good morning, my friends. It's March 13th, 2020, outbreak of the virus day, where everybody's staying home from school and work and all kinds of things trying to avoid the very highly contagious virus. Now, I feel that this is the most important day that could ever be because it is a day to try to sequester yourself and stay away from being, contracting the virus. However, it's also a day to start learning anew. Now, I have a very good background in all of the different sciences. I can present what the mainstream authorities are presenting, and then I will present what my research has resulted in. And just recently, they have started to completely disassemble the current thought of what everything was about. And I mean everything. Let's start with atomic theory. And I've said this for a long time. There is nothing other than electrons, and I will explain that. They're positive and negative charges. But they're a weak and a strong charge, but I'm going to call it an electron. It's the smallest particle. Now, and they say new boson appears in nuclear decay, breaks the standard model. Standard model is the Bohr theory, which says here's how an atom is constructed, here's how the nucleus works. You got protons, you got neutrons, you got electrons, case is closed. Absolutely not. There are no protons, there are no neutrons, there are only electrons, and they congeal into resonant frequency quantities. And that means at 1837, a proton is stable. And 1838, a neutron is what they would call a neutron. But it's just a conglomeration of electrons. It's like this. And that would be a proton or a neutron, a whole batch of electrons. Electron is one of the little particles. Now, and then rocks. I have proven, absolutely 100% proven with DNA and CAT scans and anatomists and everything else that this is a giant human fingertip. We're going to go through all this stuff. You're going to learn the truth of what's been denied to you. And this is what I termed mud fossils. Now that'll get us cut off on the internet because they've tried to stop this knowledge. But now you have the time to learn it with your parents and everybody else. Right? That's a bone. And not only is it bone, it has the cartilage. It shows where the ligaments would have invested. You see the bone foramen. You can see the marrow, how that turns into hydrocarbons, the fabric of the fascia. You see that little triangle there? They all have like fabric that wraps around. It's called tunica. You normally don't see it. There's a duck or a goose or whatever it is. You see the feather patterns on its head? And that's just not a rock. People say, oh, it's just a rock. It is not just a rock. It died laying like this. And now these are all from flood victims. That's a lung. See, that's the red in there. That's the iron in the lung. Now, and this was DNA certified. Here's a lung. That's a human lung. That's DNA certified. That's our size. So I have a much bigger than this. And that's the blood that comes out of it. This is not, it's all 100% certain. There's no question whatsoever what I'm saying is correct. So it's time to take a new look at everything. And here's what I'm saying is the time to do. All right, we know we have a new world, 2020. We got all kind of issues that are new, that are issues. We got a new atom. Everything that stems from that has to change. They literally don't understand the way heat moves through things and how light moves from the sun to here. They used to call it ether. Well, it's still there. They just stopped using it. It's the particles of light. And all they are is the little particles flying through, and I can show you this in experiments. Now, so we have new atoms. We have a new ancestry, no question whatsoever, because we have new species. This is a noto. Right? That's a human foot, or well, I don't know what kind of foot it is, but it's a humanoid. All right? And we have dozens of these. I have another friend who has a find that is a village of them, complete legs and everything else. No. So we have new ancestors, we have new history. Obviously, the history we've been told is wrong, and I have absolute certainty of that. We have new creatures nobody's ever expected. I mean, I'm not pointing any fingers. The finger I am pointing is why the educators will not allow this to be seen. And I'm saying that's a fact. Yale University, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, all of those professors there, and everywhere else too. I'm not just pointing at them. It's system wide. No, and they won't allow it. That's it. Don't bring it here. Don't talk about it. It's very discouraging that the kids are paying this kind of money for that kind of interest. Now, so we have new creatures. We have the old knowledge is the new knowledge. Really, we have to use it with new thinking, and eternity and God and everything else has to be reconsidered. I mean, obviously, if you go to the university systems, that God is the least thing on the list. There's not a whole lot going on with God. Well, I can tell you what. In my university, there's a whole lot going on with God, because every single thing points to every single word that was written way back when. And if you can't let your mind roam into those regions, you might as well just keep paying Yale and Harvard and all the rest of them for their information. All right, we're going to get into health, and we're going to get into how all of the different molecules interact with each other. And here I said I'm into all of this stuff. I like it, and I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you this is a fact. And here's some of my old papers. This is basically thermochemistry, different heat of reaction, heat of solution, all these different things, how particles interact. And it really is particles interacting, push to shove. Everything is, and it always ends up in electric power. You change all these variables, it always ends up converting into watts. And electric power, push to shove. That's all it is. Power dissipation, watts. And rapid oxidation, all of that stuff. Now, and then in here is, again, thermochemistry. I did all the chemistry, but thermochemistry was very interesting. And, I didn't do just a little bit, I did a lot of it. And here you come into the resonance. Here's where I was talking about electron delocalizations. That's where you get your resonance. Resonance means that the shaking vibration, they usually shatter everywhere. Well, resonance means they go, and they just lock in solid. See, and then there's all this stuff. This is all, I understand what they say, what the mainstream tells you. Believe me, here we go, here. Molecular polarities and dipole moments. This is, I got marked something here as important. Here it is. Whoops. You see that? Again. There's two types of intermolecular forces, and it's always dipole interaction. That's it. That's it. Case closed. So, all right, I'm not bragging. I'm just showing you this is what I did, and I understand this stuff. I did a lot of it. And then you got into the chemistry and all that different, the whole thing. So anyway, that's my qualifications. Now, if somebody else says they went to Yale or Harvard or something, well, that's fine. Good for them.